Hello, so today we've got a different video going. We usually have recent roundups and other videos to do with the transfer window and just transfers in general. But this time I figured I might be able to do something different for you. Since the transfer window has just closed, I have decided a tier list of in my personal opinion, the best to the worst teams in terms of transfers this window. If your team is mentioned and they are on the not so great side of the tier list, don't worry, I'm not trying to get at you. But here we go. Just hello, hi. Before I begin, I have to say I'm a Newcastle fan. So if any of this is bias, you think there's bias involved, I'm trying to make it so there isn't. So, up first we have Arsenal. And I've put them as a B tier team. Hold on, let me just get that inside. Yep. As a B team. Just to think, I would put them as A if they had sold basically any players. Their net spend is actually higher than Liverpool's, and they've spent the most money by a wild amount. More than 100 million, more than 150 million Liverpool have spent more, and Arsenal still have a higher net spend because they've basically sold no one. And their only sales, except for maybe a few youngsters, have been loans. And that's why I've put them as a B tier. Rather than an A. They would be an A, but just because of that net spend and the amount that they actually haven't sold, and they've just not been able to make up for that. I feel like that might pay a little toll on them in the next few years because of PSR. They won't be able to get as many players in the next few years. But who knows? Maybe they'll skyrocket in terms of ticket sales and stuff like that. We need to take that into account as well. So next up, Aston Villa. I've actually put them as an E tier. Now, Aston Villa fans are saying, and they've always said this whole season, this whole window, they've been saying that the reason they haven't done so well is because of PSR. I agree with the BBC on this one. That's not a good enough reason. I mean, if you're dealing with PSR, that's okay. But they've basically they haven't sold enough to, if you're worrying about that at the start, you shouldn't be having to worry about it right at the very end. Because you should be able to sell from the start towards the middle. Villa haven't been able to do that. And that's why I've put them as an E tier. It's just not been good enough in terms of the club's finances and sales. That's just not been on top. Next up, we've got AFC Bournemouth, and I think I have them. I have them as a C tier. Now, their summer has been quite good. Their summer's been really good in terms of bringing people in, and I would have put them as a B tier or possibly even an A. But they have sold quite a lot of players, and that's good and bad. It's not like Arsenal where they've just bought and they have a much better squad. Arsenal. Bournemouth have a really fresh looking good squad, but also they've done good things with their finances, and I really like that. The reason I put them below, don't worry, that's my dog. The reason I put them below is because they've lost Dean Howson, and I know they got 50 million from Real Madrid for that, but I think they possibly should have gone for more. Like Steve Parish, he did end up making a mistake with Mark Gahey last season, not getting him for 65, but we'll come to that. I think they should have done the same thing with Dean Howson, and I know it's Real Madrid and everything. So I think they would have been able to pay up to a price of maybe 70 million. But that's the only thing I'd go against Bournemouth. They've had a really good summer and they've been really smart. Up next is Brentford, and I have them as a C tier as well. Not a D tier. C tier, because they've sold a lot of players, and the players they've brought in, like Dango Tara, they are really good. But would you say Dango Tara is at the level of Brian Mbeumo, who everyone said that would be Mbeumo's replacement after he went to Manchester United for 70 million? I think he's ended up being Wyss's replacement, who went to Newcastle for 55. I'm not sure that they've really got any proper Mbeumo replacement lined up. So this season could be a bit challenging for Brentford. But yeah, I have to say that they're C tier. They haven't done too badly, but they've not done anything really that's caught my eye. And next up, Brighton. I have them as a D tier. Now, that's not because they've not been smart. It's just because they don't have any players. They've sold Enciso, about 60 others. And a lot of them are notable names. And who have they brought in? I mean, I've got to say they aren't stupid, but I honestly couldn't see where they were going this summer. Brighton, in a bunch of years, they've been amazing in the transfer window, in the transfer market, and they've got brilliant talent through the academy, and that's what they do. They bring players into the first team via the academy for nothing, and then they sell them on for loads. That's really smart. But in the transfer window alone, I've got to say that Brighton haven't caught my eye. Yeah. Next up, Burnley, and they're actually going into the B tier, because I think they have a fair chance of staying up. They have a really good squad. They seem to have that pull to players that teams like the Big Six always have had. They just draws players in, and I don't know why that is, but always the teams coming up from the Championship always seem to draw players in. Like, it's like they tell them, like, hey, we're coming up, look at this project we've got going, come and join it and you'll be able to stay in the Premier League. I really like what Burnley are doing. They haven't signed anyone massive, but they have made some good signings, like really good signings, including what's his face? Armando Broja. He's superb. They've also got Ogachukwu from Chelsea, and I really like the way they're heading this transfer window. I really see their point of view here. And they, as I said, they have a good chance of staying up this season. Next up, we've got Chelsea, who I've just talked about selling Leslie Ogachukwu. I have them as a B tier because they've spent a lot, but also they've sold quite a bit too. Signings like Liam Delap, signed Pedro Neto last season. They have João Pedro, Alejandro Garnacho. These players, they've bolstered their attack, and also having players off the wage books like Christopher Nkunku, Kieran Dewsbury Hall, players like that who aren't getting much game time but are also on really high wages, is going to really help Chelsea in terms of balancing the books and things like that. Next up, Crystal Palace, and I have them as a C tier. They've done some good stuff. Jeremy Pino, they've ended up keeping Mark Gahey, even though that wasn't really Steve Parish or the club who did that. That was just because they couldn't find a replacement. Even just managing to keep Gahey. That might really help them. Even if he does leave in January, possibly even the season after, he's only got 1 year left on his contract. They better extend that, or else he might go for free. So, I don't think he'll stay until the end of the season. I think he'll go in January. But Crystal Palace have done some good stuff this window. Some really good stuff. Next up, Everton. I've put them in the B tier because the signings they've made and the sales they've made, well, I was going to say Dominic Calvert-Lewin. He's not really been a sale. They just let him go. But they signed Kiernan Dewsbury-Hall, Jack Grealish from City on loan. I think a loan deal for Grealish is perfect because they're not paying his full wages. They're getting him for a year. Next year they'll be able to find a full-time replacement for him. And even Kiernan Dewsbury-Hall on loan, they're bringing in these loans because they don't have to pay their full wages. And they're doing a brilliant job. It's not like they're being asked, because you're on loan, you can only do 50% of what you'd usually do for your parent club. They're really shining at Everton. And I think the thing with Grealish is that he would only shine in a club where he's the superstar. And that's what it is with Everton. It's always been like Dominic Calvert-Lewin. Last season it was Iliman Ndiaye. This season it'll be Jack Grealish, I bet. He's already shined. He's got like 4 assists in his first 3 Premier League games or something like that. And overall, Everton's summer has not been bad whatsoever, so I'm putting them in a B tier spot. We've still not got any A tiers or F tiers. Let's see what happens next. So, speaking about next, I've got Nottingham Forest in a D tier spot because they have made some really good signings. And they've kept a lot of their team, except for maybe Anthony Elanga and Danilo. They've signed 4 players from Botafogo. This summer. A few of them on deadline day, which, as of recording, was yesterday. So if I'm a bit, I haven't looked into it much. So if I'm a bit off here, don't blame me for this. As of recording, this is the day after. Yeah. Yeah. Not much to say on Forest, actually. They've sold Elanga for 55 million. Haven't made too many signings overall. But it's really good for their books. They've had a good summer in terms of finances, but not really any big names coming into the club. And next up, we have got, and I'm going to leak it here, it's our only F, Fulham. Now, I haven't put that in because their name starts with F. They have only spent, now, if I have this wrong, it's just because I haven't really looked into it. They've only spent £400,000. That is the least amount of money that anyone has spent in the Premier League this season. I think it's even less than any League One club. I'm pretty sure. And it's not like they've sold millions of players either. They've sold a few. And those few, they've been really good. But they haven't gone for much money. Andres Pereira left for 8.3 million to, I think, Brazil or Greece. It's one of the two. And yeah, overall, there's not much to say on Fulham, but they haven't done good. They haven't not done well enough to get anywhere above F. If there was a place below F, I'd put them there. But again, as I said at the start of the video, not getting at Fulham fans, not getting at the club. I'm just saying their summer has not been great. And next up, Leeds United. They're a B tier because just like Burnley. They're a team coming up, and they're a team just like Burnley who I think have a really good fighting chance in the Premier League, and I think will stay up. Burnley, I'm pretty sure they have a good chance, but Leeds, I think they will, and that's because of the signings that they've made this summer. The likes of Noah Okafor coming from AC Milan. And not many sales. They've spent over 125 million. And that's insane for a club who's just entered the Premier League. And I don't think after this season they'll be an up-down club. I think that they really will stay up, and they might even get... There's a chance that they'll be fighting for mid-table. I don't think that they'll be fighting for relegation this year, Leeds. Next up, Liverpool. Now, we've got our first 8 here. As much as I hate to say it because of the Alexander Isak saga, and I'm a Newcastle fan, their summer's been amazing. They've spent 400 million and they've still got less of a net spend than Arsenal, who have spent 267. That's crazy. The amount that they've sold is more than the amount that Arsenal have bought, I'm pretty sure. And, Isak coming in, Ekitike coming in. I think Ekitike might have been Cody Gakpo's replacement. No, not Cody Gakpo. Diogo Jota's replacement. And then Isak was, of course, to go ahead of Ekitike. You can have your thoughts of if Arne Slot will play Isak ahead of Ekitike, or both of them, possibly Ekitike in midfield, or an advanced number 10. But the signings they've made this summer, Milos Kerkez, Jeremy Frimpong, those signings are brilliant and really smart. I don't think that Liverpool could have had a better summer this season. And if you'd told me before the summer that would happen, I would have said you were crazy. But it's happened, and it's been brilliant for Liverpool. And I think that they will have a really good fighting chance of winning the Premier League this season again. Next up, the 4-time champions. Then they didn't do so well last season, Manchester City. I've put them as a B tier because they have made really good signings like Reinders and trying to think, because I haven't got anything with me right now. I'm just reading off of this piece of paper that's telling me my lists. But Reinders, Ait-Nouri, and Donnarumma. How could I forget? Gianluigi Donnarumma. And I don't know. I know goalkeepers aren't actually as much as outfield players, but I don't know how they got Donnarumma for 26 million. And I'm not convinced that Gianluigi Donnarumma is the perfect fit for Manchester City. If Ederson was brilliant on the ball, he could catch crosses. Donnarumma's just a shot stopper. And in the Premier League, you need someone who can be that sweeper keeper, who can come out, grab the ball if you need it, punch it away. But Donnarumma's the best shot stopper in the world by a long shot. No pun intended. But he's not anywhere near the likes of Ederson in terms of grabbing the ball and handling and throwing and distribution in general. So that's why I've put them as a B tier. They've made great signings. Few departures as well. But it's it's been an okay summer for the Citizens. And next up, the joke of last season, Manchester United, have a C tier. And I know what you're going to say, but no, Man United, they've spent this much money. But really, if you think about it, did they need to? Why'd they buy Bryan Mbeumo as a right winger if they've already got Amad Diallo? And personally, I'd rather have Amad Diallo than Bryan Mbeumo. I think he's at Man United. Something's telling me deep in my mind that he's not, but I don't know. I haven't really checked much. So, Man United in C tier. They haven't done brilliantly. They haven't done brilliantly for the past few years in the Prem, and I don't think that they will get a European spot. I think they might finish mid-table. Next up, my favourite team, Newcastle, are getting put in a B tier. And I know I'm not just saying that because I want to be ahead of Man United. I genuinely think that this is where Newcastle are. And it's because of the signings they've made. Yet they've sold Sean Longstaff. This is really sad. Sold Isak, pretty sad, but he didn't want to stay. And I honestly really am not a big fan of the way he acted. Not a big fan of the way Wissa acted either whenever he came to Newcastle. They signed, as I just said, Wissa, Voltemada for 70 million, new club record. And players like that in general, Aaron Ramsey, even Anthony Elanga. Anthony Elanga's brilliant. Then the likes of Malik Chow. They've covered every... Sorry, I've got a thing in the back of my throat. They've covered every single position that they've lost in the past few years, which I think is really key for Newcastle because for Newcastle, these past few weeks, they have not performed well at all. And you can say that that's because of the Isak stir-up and getting the players unsettled. Or you can also say that we haven't got a proper striker. Asula's not exactly done what Eddie Howe wants him to do. I think that's apparent. Because he was linked with a move away. So I think that this summer's been good for Newcastle. But not an A tier. And then we've got Tottenham, who I've also put in a B tier. Even though their Eberechi Eze signing got hijacked by Arsenal at the last minute when everyone expected Eze was about to move to Tottenham. Pen was about to hit the paper, but then Arsenal come ahead and say, right, we're going to sign you. They sign him. And then a few days later, it comes out that Xavi Simons has landed in London. Who's he going to sign for, Chelsea or Tottenham? Everyone's thinking he's about to move to Chelsea because he said he wants to move there. He said to RB Leipzig he wanted to go to Chelsea. And then suddenly it comes out that Tottenham have agreed a fee. And it's all out of the blue. And Tottenham have got their player instead of Eberechi Eze. And I think 52 million for Xavi Simons is perfect. It is perfect. It's actually a real bargain for someone who's 23 years old. And he's shining on the international stage and in the Bundesliga. I think he's perfect for Tottenham in general. I think Tottenham have had a really good summer. A really good summer window. Even bringing a new manager in Thomas Frank. Thomas Frank's brilliant. Really, really underrated manager at Brentford. And now he's finally going to get some light. If he performs well with Tottenham, everyone's going to think he's the best thing ever. All the Tottenham fans and a bunch of Premier League fans are going to think he's great. But he was great at Brentford, but no one noticed it because they were a mid-table club. But now he's with a club that is on the rebuild, I'm saying, because they didn't finish great last season, 16th. I feel like if he performs with them, he's going to get a bunch of... he's going to light up and he's going to be the star in Tottenham. Next up, Sunderland. Now, I'm not going to say anything bad about Sunderland because I'm a Newcastle fan. I'd put them above Newcastle in A tier because they've spent like 170 million, I think, and they've bought about 16 bajillion players and haven't had to sell anyone. Enzo Lefebvre is unbelievable. Adingra. Just players like that who are young but are already made by really good clubs like Brighton and Roma. And I honestly think that Sunderland's window could not have gone any better. It's like Liverpool's, and it might even be better than Liverpool's at this point because of the amount that they've bought and the amount that they haven't had to sell. And next up, West Ham United. I've put them as a C tier, and West Ham haven't actually done too badly. They've kept Paquetá. There were rumours about that. They've signed the likes of Callum Wilson, ready-made players who Callum Wilson came for nothing, and on his debut he scored in the last minute to get them 3-0 up against Forest. But honestly, West Ham haven't done too badly, but I don't think they have done well enough to get a B tier. Next up, and last, Wolves I have put as a D tier. This is just because they haven't signed anyone really good, but they have made a few good signings, and selling out Nuri to Manchester City actually isn't that bad because of the money they get from that. And even being able to keep Jørgen Strand Larsen at this point proves that Wolves are a team on the up. Even though they just had a massive hit in the Premier League last season, they're on the up and they're doing well. So I honestly don't think that they'll do badly this season. That is this video over. That's it. This is what I think about this summer. You can think whatever you want. This is just my personal opinion. And I will see you in the next one.